consider myself a church girl. I grew up in church. I was in a gospel girls group from like 11 years old. I was um, just doing all of the church things. I was going to Sunday school. I love Sunday school. And at the end of the day, I knew of God. I had a church relationship with Him, but I didn't ever feel like I had a personal relationship with Him. I didn't feel personally close to Him. But around 16 years old, I got into my first relationship and it wasn't going too well. Um, just regular teenager things. And I remember having a church moment where you're like, either this is the devil or this is God trying to get my attention. And so I remember praying and asking God, like, I need to hear you. I need to hear your voice to know what to do. Mind you, I never heard his voice before. So I'm like, yeah, for this relationship, I need to hear you. And literally, as I was praying, I heard him so clearly. He was like, I need you to focus on me. So you can't be in this relationship so that your attention can be on me. And I said, okay. I mean, I didn't really say okay. I was more so like irritated, annoyed, like, what are you talking about? I do all the church things. I'm singing for you every weekend. Like, it was just so funny. But I was like, all right, Lord, well, if this is you, and instead of maybe I'm talking to myself, I need you to tell my boyfriend. And the Lord didn't waste no time. It was probably like a day or two. My boyfriend calls me. He's heading home from a church service he was at and was like, hey, I really think we need to talk and we need to go on a break. And I was like, oh, God really was talking to me. I feel like God confirming that through my boyfriend let me know that I do hear God. I heard his voice and he confirmed it. And I wish I could say that, that was it and we broke up and we obeyed God. But we actually were kind of just off and on for like the next 5 or 6 years. So fast forward to um, 2018, I'm graduating college, and me and him have one of our reconnecting moments in May of that year. And we kind of spent the summer just reconnecting. Early August, it felt like a new beginning for us. We were both talking about what our next steps were. He was planning to move. Some opportunities were presenting themselves to him. And me, I had other plans for my life. And we were just kind of sharing where we felt like our life was going and trying to figure out where that would allow us to end up. And unfortunately, by the end of August, he died, and it was random. It was probably one of the most painful, tragic moments. I'll never forget the last call, hearing him, talking to him, and I'll never forget being right there in the hospital room, him in the bed on life support, surrounded by, I've never seen that many people in a hospital or allowed in a hospital. And it was so many people like praying, hoping, and believing for a different outcome. And I definitely was sure that God was gonna perform a miracle, and this was gonna just be a testimony for him to share. But unfortunately, I'll never forget that last moment where he took his last breath. I'll never forget like my heart, like it felt like my heart fell into my stomach. Like that's the feeling. I'll never forget feeling like the room like stopped, like, and then I'll also just I never forget, like, I was in denial though. Like I watched it, I felt it, but literally I also felt like it wasn't the reality. I was heartbroken. I was I was angry, and I think that I had never actually felt anger towards God before. I was angry, and I began to question God and His sovereignty in that moment. Because Ivan was, man, he was a beautiful soul. He was what I called a musical genius. Ivan was a light. Like in every room he walked in, he left an impact. He made people feel seen, people feel heard. He was the type of person that made you feel close to him if you had just met him. He was just a musical genius, like so much unreleased music. I could go on. I was so angry. I wasn't just angry at God for allowing him to die, right? For knowing God could have let him live, but I was also angry at how God let him die, right? I was angry at how God allowed me to be treated because of it. And so I I I I heard God was sovereign, right? Like, and I've read God was sovereign. I know God is sovereign, but I don't feel like the sovereign God is showing up the way that I think he should. How he should have shown up was by letting him live, right? How he should have shown up is by preventing all of it from happening in the first place. That's how I felt. I started to question if it was my fault. I started to feel like this was God punishing me. I I was not only just hearing the enemy in my head telling me all the different ways how I could have played a role in this, but then the enemy was using people to literally accuse me of playing a role in what happened to him. I just that only fed my anger. That only added to me questioning God's sovereignty. Again, why are you doing this when I know you are in control of this or you can do something about this? Why are you allowing this? So, as angry as I was, there was nobody else I actually wanted to turn to but God. Because though I'm angry with him, only he understands me right now. Only he knows how I feel. Grief can be a very lonely process. I was surrounded by my family and friends, but I felt alone. I felt like no one truly understood the depth of my pain. Like, because grief is your unique experience. Everybody has a moment where they're going to lose someone, but it's different how you individually experience it. And that's what made me feel misunderstood, especially hearing people say, I understand. I know how you feel. No, you don't. No, you don't. And so I remember even during that time, people felt like I was just so strong and kept telling me, oh, Imani, you're so strong. Man, you're not even taking this that bad. Or unfortunately, or people saying like, you're not sad enough. And not knowing that I'm bawling my eyes out when it's just me and my mom, or in these other moments that my mom didn't even know about where I'm just in my room crying. I'm having the craziest dreams, so I'm barely getting any sleep. I'm replaying that night over and over again. Like, no one understood that. I literally felt like I didn't get good sleep for at least 3 to 6 months. And I remember being like, Lord, where are you? And when do I get to the other side of this? Like, when do I feel any different? When do I start to see this differently? And so I remember like coming to God with so I remember coming to God being extremely honest and truly seeking him and wanting to hear him and wanting to know how he's using this, or I should say how he's gonna use it, what's the purpose? I know that you don't do things or allow things in vain. Like you have to be doing something in this. You have to be doing something in me as a result of this. Like where is this leading to? Where is this going? I really started to believe that I was to blame and that this was God's way of punishing me and giving me a consequence for not obeying him when I was 16 years old, that this was him giving me a consequence for not listening to him when I chose to reconnect again in 2018. So as I'm sitting there and I'm continuing to hear the lies of the enemy replaying all of these reasons on why this is happening, I literally heard God remind me of the fact that he is sovereign. And for him to be sovereign, it means that there are these moments of our lives where things are happening beyond our understanding for reasons that we may not ever know. But in that moment, I was able to realize that God was using this as a way to reveal other areas of my heart that he wanted to heal, other things in my heart that needed to be addressed that are the reason why I even disobeyed him in the first place. Grief became a root exposer. It began to show me that I was still carrying shame and condemnation. I had low self-worth. I was still idolizing marriage. All of these things began to come to the surface. All that was exposed through prayer, but my healing journey continued through therapy. It was in therapy that I was able to truly address the lies that were in my head. It was in therapy that I remember my first session, she literally was able to capture a thought that was in a box in my mind that needed to be taken out and laid at the feet of Jesus in order for me to be free from the anxiety and all these different things that I was holding on to that was hindering me from processing through this grief, from processing through these various things that were in my heart. Getting to the other side of the pain felt like a long, never-ending journey. But God revealed the purpose of the pain. He not only revealed who he is, but he revealed who I am. I am his daughter. I am loved. I am chosen. I am healed. I am a worshiper, a woman of his presence. God uses my voice for his kingdom.